Welcome back to Tanner Style. Happy Easter. And we are not quite at home this week. We're going to do a very special video for Easter. And let's get going. So as you can see, we are not at home. This place is a little bit nicer than outside, especially today. We got some wind blowing. We probably got some rain coming in. Today is a little bit stormy. We didn't really want to be outside anyway, but we were graciously invited by 1850 Farm to come down and film video down here on their facility today. We wanted to do a special, something special for Easter that we don't really make very often. And, you know, as Shar and I sat thinking about what do we do for an Easter meal, we both had the same thought and we knew that we needed to do it. We said, you know what? We need to cook some rabbit. So we're going to cook the Easter bunny today. It's going to be fun. I've actually never cooked rabbit before. I've actually only eaten rabbit one other time in my life. It was pretty good. It was also at Spago in Los Angeles, which has 2 Michelin stars. So that may have played into why it was as good as it was, but I'm thinking rabbit's just good anyway. I have a philosophy that I think holds true with most other times that I've tested it, and we're going to see if it holds true this time as well. The philosophy is that the cuter the animal is, the better it tastes. So rabbits are awfully cute. I'm thinking that they're going to taste pretty darn good. What we're going to do today, we've got our setup. We just need to do a little bit of prep. We need to mince up some shallots, and then we're going to break down a rabbit. I've never butchered a rabbit before, so we're going to try and figure this out together. Yeah, let's get into it. Up with what little prep we had to do. We're about to go on to butchering, but before we do that, you know, I thought maybe we should talk a little bit more about 1850 Farm and about what we're doing today. So normally on this channel, as you may well know by now, I don't really use recipes, right? I just kind of make things and I try to go with basic cooking principles. Now, I do use recipes every once in a while, usually when I come across something that's new to me. And what I will do is I will take someone's recipe, I will follow it to see how they think it should be cooked, and then I'll make my own modifications after. Sometimes I will just kind of look at the recipe and make my own modifications and do it my own way. So the recipe that we're using today, it's not something of my own creation. It's a recipe that was provided to us by 1850 Farm. You know, I asked her because, you know, Susan, the farmer out here at 1850 Farm, you know, we were talking to her and she said, well, how do you want to do this? And I said, and we were kind of like, you know what, we've never really cooked rabbit before. So how about you just tell us what's your favorite way of doing this? And so she gave us a recipe, and that's what we're following today. 1850 Farm is just a very small farm. I believe it's 140 acres out here in Lacing. I've heard it pronounced different ways. Here in Kansas, we're actually even further south than Osawatomie, And it's just a little tiny farm down here in rural Kansas. She's got several chickens. She's got, I think she has a couple cattle. She's got a number of horses, and she has a bunch of goats. Actually, she's got some baby goats, some that were just born this week. We have Joseph here with us today, and Joseph loves animals, and he was pretty excited when we rolled up and we were greeted by, what was it, 5, 6 dogs? I don't know. I couldn't count because they were running around too fast. We're really grateful to them for having us out. So that's kind of what we're doing today. We're doing a recipe that they gave us. And so we are actually going to post this recipe in the comments below. I don't know, let's try and butcher up this rabbit. Never done this before. This rabbit was killed and skinned and prepped yesterday. It's been sitting in a saline solution until now. And so let's try and cut this sucker up and see how it goes. So we are done with our butchering. I decided we'd only butcher off the forequarters and the hindquarters. I'm really not sure what to do with the rest of the carcass. Like I say, this is my first time ever butchering a rabbit, and I'm kind of figuring it out on my own. So I think we have enough meat to make a meal for today. Now I just want to say a quick word before we proceed about the fact that, you know, okay, so there may be a little bit of blood. Maybe you found it shocking that I had a whole rabbit that I was cutting up. Folks, your meat comes from somewhere. It comes from an animal. When you go and buy your meat from the store, it was a cute little something not long before. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. This is the way that life continues, the way that we eat, the way that other animals eat. Everything dies. Everything is eaten by something else. Even me, one day when I die, I will be worm food. So whatever, I don't mind. I just hope that they, you know, at least season me properly. Let's go ahead and let's get it cooking. We're going to start by smearing the rabbit with some Dijon mustard on both sides. Then we're going to season it with salt and pepper, and we're going to get it seared in our pan. All right, let's get going. So we are going to start with heating up a little bit of some of our extra virgin olive oil with a couple tablespoons of butter. And we're going to sear the rabbit in all of this. Now you might be wondering, why is it that we are melting our butter with the olive oil? And the reason for that is that we want to sear this rabbit, okay? We want the flavor of the olive oil, but sometimes olive oil doesn't work very well for searing because it has a really low smoke point, right? The smoke point is the point at which the oil gets so hot that it starts to smoke, which is just before it hits its flash point where it combusts. When we mix olive oil with other kinds of oils, it will change the smoke point, okay? It's like the two oils will combine their properties to make it possible to sear with something that isn't really ideal for searing on its own. So we're gonna sear this on both sides here, and then we're gonna remove it, and we'll continue on to the next step.
Although it's gonna be better.
So we're gonna remove our rabbit pieces from our pan. All right, so at this point we finished searing our rabbit. We're going to reduce the heat a little bit. We're going to add a little bit more butter. Going to add a little bit more olive oil, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add all of our shallots right now. And we're going to go ahead, and as we add our shallots, I'm going to scrape the bottom a little with my spatula. Try and get some of that goodness that got caramelized onto the bottom there from the mustard and the rabbit off. Basically kind of deglazing the pan a little bit. Usually you deglaze with liquid like a stock or even wine you can deglaze with. Right now though, the shallots are actually releasing enough water that we can deglaze even just with the shallots. So our shallots are actually looking pretty soft, pretty well cooked right now. We can go ahead and move on to the next step. My wife and we are going to add back in our rabbit quarters. We've got everything in there. We're going to cover it all up. So we've got our heat adjusted. We've got it covered up. We're going to let this sit and cook for about 30-35 minutes. Then we're going to check it, make sure that our rabbit is cooked all the way through. We're kind of going with a slower cook right now. We're just going to let that finish cooking. We'll check back on this in about a half hour, see how it's going along. Okay, so we have reached our time limit. It's time to check on the rabbit. And that looks pretty done. We'll give it a little pinch. It's been long enough. This should definitely be cooked through. So we're going to remove our rabbit pieces, add in, and kind of give a little whisk to some creme fraiche in there. And this is creme fraiche that we actually made at home last night. If you want to make your own creme fraiche, I'm not going to provide you with a recipe because it's so easy you shouldn't need a recipe. 1 tablespoon of buttermilk added to every half cup of cream that you use. And that's the ratio. All you do is just add it together, mix it up real good, and then let it sit out in the open for about 24 hours. It should thicken up nicely. If you want it a little bit thicker, you can leave it out for a little bit longer, and then after that, you just cover it up and put it in the fridge. Use it as you will. Let's add a little bit more, thicken it up just a little bit more. All right, so basically we're just gonna make a little bit of a sauce to go over our rabbit when we plate it. All right, so you know what? I think that we are about good. We got all that caramelized goodness from everything else we've cooked floating around in there. Looks delicious. All right. So here we go. We've got our rabbit with the sauce spooned over. It's all sitting on a bed of couscous. It's been cooked with some lemon juice, onions, dill, and mint. And it's served alongside a little bit of focaccia that Susan here at I carved just a couple of turnips and beet into little roses, you know, just something fun to it. I'm garnishing with just a little bit of some dill, minced up dill, and then a little bit of a chiffonade of mint, since that's what we have in our couscous. So there we go. Here is our Easter bunny for Easter dinner. I encourage you to find a local farm near you and buy a rabbit. Try it out. We have never done this before, so this is kind of new for us as well. You know, we've never eaten the Easter bunny before. And so, you know, have some Easter bunny for Easter. If you live in the Kansas City area, then, you know, we're going to put a link down to 1850 Farm down in the description. Please hit them up and order from them. And actually, you know, I think we should probably try this. Now, that's really good. So you might be wondering, what does this taste like? And you might be expecting an answer. That it tastes like, same thing everything tastes like, right? Like chicken. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it tastes like rabbit. Because that's what it is. Rabbits just happen to taste like chicken. But, I mean, whatever. Hey, Joseph, you want to come try this? Here, go ahead and try it. What do you think? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, let's try some couscous. And where the couscous soaked up some of that sauce that we poured over the rabbit. It's really good too. Thank you for joining us on Tanner Style. Big thank you to 1850 Farm for having us out here cooking inside for a change. I mean, that's weird. We don't do that. But, you know, hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll do this again at some point in the future. We appreciate them having us out, and we've enjoyed coming out here, seeing a little bit of what they do. And, you know, it's always great to support a local business. Thanks again for joining us, and give us a like, a share, and a subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you in the next one.